What's going on, guys? We had some technical difficulties. We're up and running. My bad. I screwed up. I want to go ahead and introduce you to episode 391. And this is the Medusa system featuring founder Mike Raymond, his son Seth, co-founder, and head instructor Jason Schulz. So I apologize for the late delay. We had some things here with the BeLive app. But we are up and running. So without further ado, I want to introduce Mr. Mike Raymond. And I just want to kind of go ahead and have him give you guys a background on the whole Medusa system, how it got started, when it was founded. So, Mr. Raymond, apologies. Take it away.
Me and my son had always been involved in martial arts, and we really started to get into edge weapons 2017, 18. Really starting to get in there, and we studied all different kinds, right? And we collected angle patterns, didn't we, buddy? So we did those, the skill sets, flow sets. We did all of those, but they would never come together ever, right? You might get lucky on one. You know, Seth is a big guy, and he would come in real fast. And if your feet aren't perfect, if your hands aren't perfect, you're not doing it. And so what we did is we said, this isn't working. So we said, who are the best with weapons? Who are the best? And that led us to the American prison system. And we looked at thousands, buddy? Thousands of videos. And I interviewed a whole bunch of guys on YouTube. They were ex-inmates and started talking to them. Got a wealth of information, and we built the system around it. And we started to get to where we liked it, and that's I shared it with Jason. I've known Jason for about 10 years now, and shared it with him, and he immediately liked the system, and it's just growing and spreading, and we couldn't be happier.
Yeah, that's. I know we talked about the test run yesterday. It's really interesting that you chose the American prison system to get that feedback from realistic attacks and things that that are in reality. I mean, I'm not saying that most systems aren't reality, but there's 99% of them are kind of living that, that land of you're in a dojo and stuff like that. So it's good you got that realistic streets experience. I wanted to introduce Mr. Jason Schulz, and he's the man with the plan. He's the one that put the manual together and helped get the system off the ground as well. So, Mr. Schulz, I want to ask you about your background from martial arts and your contributions so far that you've made to Medusa.
So I started off at about 10 or 11 years old with an after-school judo program. That ran until funding, dried up. My parents got me involved in an Okinawan karate school after that, a Shorin-ryu to be exact. Really old school training, a hard-ass instructor, fair but hard. Former Navy. He was really into just the hardcore old school training, a lot of Hojo Undo, body conditioning drills. He'd let some of us just go at it bare knuckle after class just to see if what we were training was actually functional, and that's where I got the itch for realistic training. I left that school at about 22 years old due to politics. A lot of families were joining, a lot of kids, so things were changing. I went to an MMA gym, got exposed to Western boxing, Muay Thai, and submission grappling, which was a hybrid of catch wrestling and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Left there because I didn't want to compete, and I wanted to still train self-protection, just didn't feel, with my responsibilities, I could do multiple nights a week for 3 hours at a time. And that's when I rediscovered the World War II stuff. So, I jumped right back into that. I rediscovered Kelly McCann's Jim Grover Combatives 1, 2, 3 series. And, I found Carl Sestari on YouTube, investigated that a little bit, and just, one thing led to another. And 13 years later, here I am.
And I think it's kind of interesting. We were talking about that War II combatives. It seems to be like a little getting real popular nowadays. When I see a lot of people posting the Fairbanks, and then the like I said, the Kalmakan, and all that stuff like that. But people are actually incorporating that into the system. And like I said, I think it was kind of really brilliant on your part to get that feedback from the American prison system, because like you said, who does the most attacks with knives? It's the inmates in prison, people that are in gangs, criminals. So, I mean, the average Joe is not out there attacking and slashing and stabbing people, so you can't really get the feedback. So the feedback, I think it was brilliant. You guys incorporated that. We got a couple people joining us in. If you're watching us now, this is episode 391. Please tell us where you're from, and always made to like and subscribe and share to the channel. I have a question from the admin himself. Guru Dean Franco is here, and he has a question. We're talking about the prison system. His question is, are there any other influences in the system other than the prison feedback?
Yes, World War II system.
Answered that. Yeah, the Fairbound, the World War II combatives training that they were talking about. Yeah. So it seems like you guys took a lot from the combatives mindset rather than the art part. So, which is, like you said, a straight self-defense kind of system. Is there anything besides knife in the system, or is there any empty hand, or is it just all knife?
You can make it work empty-handed. You would still shock, you latch, but you would strike at that point. You would use a hammer fist or
So it translates kind of from the weapons.
We're working on an empty hand system here called Venom, and that we're not.
Oh wow,
we're not really where we want to be with it yet.
And I think before we got cut off earlier during the thing, I wanted to ask you, what is the whole idea behind the Medusa? Like, what made you pick the Medusa logo and the Medusa as like your name, your system?
Yeah. So Medusa at one time was a very beautiful woman, and the beauty of our system is the simplicity, right? The ugly, when she was cursed to be ugly, is the horrific aftermath of a real knife encounter, and that's the ugly side of it.
That's a pretty good metaphor for that. Yeah, now it makes a lot of sense, because I know it looks cool. I was like, man, I like this logo. And I know I showed people, and they're like, man, it looks awesome. So back to Mr. Schulz. I think we talked earlier about the manual that you had wrote. And can you tell us a little about like what made the how long it took you to do the manual, and like what made you just kind of like made it want to be accessible to people who wanted to have access to learn about the system?
So when Mike and Seth developed the system, they initially wanted to just keep it local to their group. When Mike decided to reach out to me and share what they were developing, I immediately saw the benefits of the system, the simplicity, the ease of training, the ability to solo train with getting feedback. It's not like you're stabbing the air. You have to use a resistive target, whether it's a bob, a wall, polymer clay, anything, And I asked Mike if he would be comfortable with me writing this manual, because I felt like it belonged out in the world. There's a lot of knife systems out there, but there's not a knife system out there, or an edged weapon system, or a pointed weapon system that you can drill for a weekend and walk away feeling confident in your abilities to protect yourself. I guarantee if you spent 8 hours drilling Medusa, either all in one day or 2 4-hour sessions, whatever you want to do, you'll walk away feeling much better about yourself and your abilities than you walked in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's very unusual nowadays too, because like a lot of systems take years, whatever, or months to do. But you're saying that yours takes, like you said, you could walk away because it's so simple. And I guess I'm guessing this also is geared towards women as well, right? I mean, the simplicity, like for them to learn, the system easily, and people just average Joe off the street to read the manual. So with that being said, with the manual, does it still require like in-person instruction or like online instruction still, even with the manual, or is it just kind of, you just read the manual and you kind of set, well, you got the basics down, you kind of just work the drills?
Yeah, well, there are 3 routes. If you already have a verifiable instructorship and another edged weapon system, we will train you virtually to bring you up to speed and give you an instructorship, or not give you, but you'll earn the instructorship in Medusa.
Right.
The second route, for an associate or an affiliate, if you do not have an instructorship in another knife system, we will still train you virtually. However, you must come to one of us in person and train out. You must prove your abilities.
Yeah.
The third are the people that just buy the manual, train on their own, and occasionally reach out for questions. You know, and I'm fine with, you know, all 3. You know, there is the 4th route for the people that train in person, but that's the, you know, that's the typical route for training. So I don't, you know, even bring it up. But those are the 3, you know, routes that don't involve personal on-hand training.
And that's good too, because it gives someone an option, like, you know, who may not have access to you guys or may not have the time, that they can just read the manual, and it's simple enough for them to digest, that they can actually, you know, get the basics down and start working their drills, start working on Bob, you know, start working different stuff without getting in person. So that is a very a good plan you guys have. What's some of those phones ringing? Okay.
And the benefit, given that Medusa has no specific techniques beyond the 3 thrusts and forward grip and the 3 thrusts and reverse grip, you could be a Libre guy, you could be a Piper guy, you could be a Paquiti Tercia guy, you could be a Cagliari Strissimo guy, you could be a Carlos Romanos guy.
Yep.
So long as you know how to wield a knife, you can drop your skill set into our methodology and be efficient.
So yeah, so there's room to, I like that. So there's room to grow, there's room to evolve. You're not just kind of stuck where you're at with the system is always evolving, as I'm trying to say. The more people you get with different backgrounds, now you kind of made this whole new thing where it's starting to turn into something else, but you bring all the experience in there. So that's good. Guru Dean has a question. He wants to know, what's the best way to get a hold of one of you?
Instagram for me and Seth. You can get a hold of us on there. My phone number's on there. You can call me anytime.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm on Instagram.
Yeah.
You know, email me. You get me through email. Blood Hill Combat Club. Blood Hill Combat Club at gmail.com.
And I wanted to talk about, I know before we got cut off earlier with the whole debacle of thing, my bad. You said you have chapters all over the world. So can you tell us, like, what chapters, like what parts, what countries you guys have are starting to grow in? Like, what people are starting to see, like, the value of this, and they're like starting to take it in their own?
Germany, United Kingdom. We got one coming online in Brazil. A lot in the United States.
And we got one up in Canada right now.
Canada, yeah.
So, like you said, it was formed in 2019. So you guys have in a short period of time, people have seen the value of the system, and they're now starting to get on board and join you guys. So there must, you know, there's something of value there that people see, that they're wanting to get on there. I want to talk to Mr. Schulz about your thing with the World War II combatives.
Sure.
You also, I guess you were a practitioner of that. I think, Mr. Raymond, you're also a practitioner as well of the World War II combatives. What drew you to the World War II combatives? I know what you talked about, that you had influence into the system, but what drew you into into going that route and adding it into the system? What appealed to you?
The simplicity, the simplicity and the brutality of it. Yeah. You know,
it works.
Yeah. Fairbairn was able to train operatives over a period of 2 weeks to go behind enemy lines and be effective in combat. You know,
there's no art to it.
You're just
doing it.
Yeah.
You're not running drills. You're not running katas. You're not doing kyo nippon. You know, you're striking. You're choking people out, you're kicking, you're actually, you're coming in contact. And if you're not coming in contact, you're not training.
Yeah, and because they had armored field manuals, but yet, like I said, these guys were able to train a couple of days, just simple tactics, for taking people out. So that was something I see now, the value that was added into your system, the simplicity of it.
Now,
I think, go ahead. Sorry,
I'm going to go one step further than that, though. While the World War II stuff is effective and it's simple to learn, we can't just put all our eggs in one basket.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
You're not going to put all your, you're not going to put your livelihood behind an edge of hand strike. If that edge of hand strike fails preemptively, you're not going to throw another edge of hand. You're not going to throw a chin jab. You're going to throw a punch.
Mm-hmm.
It's worth taking the time to invest now in learning how to properly throw punches, because you're going to need to once you get into a fight. The World War II stuff is great, but you need to supplement it with some sort of combat sport.
Yeah, to get your base. Yeah, because obviously you have to know how to throw punches. Cross jabs, stuff like that. So I see that. We've got to talk to Seth. He was hiding though. I don't know if he wants to add.
He just stepped out for just a second. He'll be back.
Okay. When he comes back, if he wants, feel free. I don't want to leave him out. I want to, feel free to add him in this. We got a couple more comments here. Iron Tree Kali, Dave says, I've plugged Medusa into some of my blade work. Thanks to Jason for turning me on to it.
Mm-hmm. No problem, man.
Guru Abaste Carlos says, Coach Dax from our Carlos Hermanos team speaks so highly of you, Jason.
Dax, I love you, brother.
Guru Dean says, it's nice to hear that you guys have adapted previous styles, which we talked about, evolving that evolution in that. I'm going to go back to Mr. Raymond with the question of did you see any value as well as adding any kind of combat sport like Mr. Schulz says, like as like a base?
Boxing, you really need some type of close hand. He's right. You got to have some type of combat sport in addition to what you're
in addition to what you have.
You really do. Yeah.
And you said that you were working on I don't want to, and just stop me if I'm giving away too much stuff here, but you said you were working on an empty hand system, and you said it was called Venom.
Yes.
You said.
Yep.
So is it still going to incorporate the simplicity of what you have with the bladed?
Oh, most definitely. Oh yeah. It'll be we're at 4 targets on the body to strike. Mm-hmm. So you would still shock, you would still latch, and then you would destroy the next target. But we're almost there.
So would you say Medusa, like we got with like Piper is more like an ambush system. Would you say Medusa is more like, is it kind of the same, or is it like an offensive or defensive? Like what would you like?
No,
incorporate as?
Okay. So in Medusa, there's 3 steps, right? There's shock, latch, and stab. So if you shock, which is a strike to the eyes, the throat, or the groin, if you cause an injury to one of those spots, fight's over. There's no need to go to the knife. You don't have to stab him at that point.
No, okay.
Medusa is a defensive style system. Mm-hmm. We don't start off with a knife in our hands.
Right.
Mm-hmm. In the manual, I specifically state that if you can exfiltrate from the situation, get your ass out of there.
Yes.
That's your number one rule, is to get out of there. If it progresses, then you go up the level of escalation. Shock. If shock doesn't work, latch. If you can't control them with latch, then you go to the last step.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So when you say latch, it's kind of almost like a clinch kind of?
Anchoring.
Well, it could be.
That's just anything to keep him from moving, right? So whether you're stepping on his foot, grabbing his in a half-tight clinch, grabbing his arm, grabbing his belt, it's to keep him from getting away from you. Too many systems push the opponent away. That does nothing except reset the clock. You might have missed with your first couple shots, and then you push them away. We don't do that. Once you're in, you stay in
until it's over with. Yeah, yeah, that's good. Was there any? We talked about just like your thoughts on the FMA systems. You said that you just like when you started out, it didn't work for you. And it was because there were so many drills and stuff and patterns you had to remember, right? So there were so many different things you had to do.
The skill sets require a lot, right? So you have to be in perfect position. Your hands have to be in a position. Your footwork has to be perfect. You'll never have perfect out on the street.
You're just gonna have to do it. I'm gonna go back to what we're talking about the American prison system and how you got that. So, like you said, you actually went in and interviewed people that were like actually still in prison or like off.
These were ex-inmates. They have channels on YouTube. I send them emails and I would talk back and forth. And a lot of them were like, I told them I was doing an edge weapon system, and one guy said to me, he's like, "What, like karate?" And I said, "Well, no, it's this." And he said,
it's always karate.
He goes, "There's a martial art for knives," and I said, "He goes, no, man, you got it all wrong." He goes, "I'll make it easy for you. You pick up the knife, you use the knife, and you leave. That's it." And there's no. If you ever watch, it's always good to watch these prison knife fights, right? Because there's no sophisticated anything. It's very simple, straightforward, right to the point, over and done with. And there's so many videos you can watch. And if you ever watch like the New York City bodega stabbing, right?
Yeah,
the Brisbane stabbing, the Las Vegas smoke shop, those all look exactly like what we're doing.
That because that basically got the knowledge from the inmates that were telling you that. So so the general consensus when you interview different inmates was always the same. Then, like they all have the same mindset of, like you said, grab a knife, walk in, and it's over with. That's kind of similar. I was talking to somebody a while back. That was a prisoner and up in Pelican Bay in California. If you know that's by Folsom. And they were telling me that they were just like, man, we grab anything, and it's just like you said, straight shot. And they were like naming certain spots. They had no knowledge of martial arts, no knowledge of knife systems, and they already knew already. Yeah, I know this guy's arteries are here. I know this guy's eyeball. I can take his eyeball out. I can't see. And he's like, I don't have any training.
They study anatomy extensively.
Yeah,
it's one of the books that they're required to read is Gray's Anatomy.
Yeah, so they were. But he was telling me though, like he said that they already knew already, like, and they're like, what areas to strike and everything you're ready, and even punching, and it's just kind of like a wake up call. It's like, wow, like because he's like, you're spending all this, you're doing all your training. He's like, but I already know already, like I can get you here and here and here and here, and it was like a real reality check, because like I've been studying for a while, and like the knowledge you got, and it's like it makes you feel like, well, like you said, you think about it like. You're doing a lot of drills and stuff like that, but like now you got a guy off the street, you already just take you out without even any training at all. Obviously anybody can take anybody out with a knife and doesn't take any training. We know that already. But yeah, I like that you've taken that and you've incorporated it in your thing. It's just like where anybody can learn. Do you guys have I know like your general audience or general like target is anybody, right? But like, do a lot of women come up to you guys and like see the value in this, or are they just kind of like, no, it's mostly men?
I've gotten a few messages from women on Instagram asking about it. I've never trained one here though.
Oh, okay. So some women are seeing like the value of this because the world is obviously getting crazier. So they see the value in training this and in getting involved in it. So with the with that being said, like I said, you guys are growing. You guys got different chapters all over the United States. Do you guys like host seminars, or is it mostly just you guys just do like the private training like within your group?
We haven't gotten to the point yet.
Yeah.
So that's something that you guys want to do in the future, though, is kind of get like seminars going on. We get groups of people that would come out to do that, to train with you guys. Okay.
I hold an annual event around Thanksgiving called Shanksgiving, the weekend before or after Thanksgiving. And, previous to last year, I would just teach Western edged weapons. But this past year, I ran an entire day of Medusa, and that's what I plan on doing going forward. So if, next year people want to come up to Long Island, weekend before or after Thanksgiving, we got Shanksgiving going on.
Thanksgiving. I didn't realize. I guess Brady caught on. I'm slow. It's Brady caught to what you were saying in there. When it comes to using knives, does your system practice like drawing methods, or is it just kind of like basically the different targets? Or you guys actually practice drawing the weapon and getting it out and stuff like that? And is this system work with like short blades, long blades, or is this kind of like, like for the general average guy that has a pocket knife, whatever you have?
You got a
you could have a screwdriver or a pen, a Zebra 701, and you're ready for Medusa.
Yep.
Wow, that's awesome. We have a couple more people joining in. Let me go back down here. Got a lot of comments. A lot of people watching. Brett Reese says, "Howdy, gentlemen, from Ground Zero, Kentucky. It may out of complete respect as we enter this new season together. Any weapon held in the hand but is rule of quarters in the palm makes sense." Okay. Mr. Rene Cocolo says, "Where can I find out more info, training groups?" You have to message these guys on their Instagram and Facebook Messenger is all right too.
Yeah, sure. Facebook Messenger's fine. Instagram's fine.
Joel Honkar says, "Hello, Jason and Michael." Karen Brown says, "Everybody likes that Thanksgiving a turkey with a knife. I love it." Greetings, gentlemen, from Mr. Ken Jowers. So we definitely got some people watching. So you said you would like to get more women involved in this, right? Is that like a goal of what you guys want to do, or?
I just want to get people involved. Yeah. The more people that are training, the better off we'll be as a society.
To get trained on that.
Yeah.
Where can people purchase the manual at if they want to purchase the manual?
It's on the Revenant Corps website, RevenantCorps.com.
Okay, and they can purchase it there?
Yeah, digital download. I am working on a 3rd edition that will be a physical copy, but that's still quite a ways off.
Okay, so can they print the digital download when they get it?
They can do whatever they want with it, besides share it.
Okay,
if they want to share it within their, training groups, I'm fine with that. But just don't bootleg it. That's all I ask.
Yeah, people suck. They do the shit like that all the time. Like they ruin a good thing. You try to do something nice, and then they take advantage of you. And it sucks that they have to do that. Is Seth back yet, or is he?
Not yet.
Oh, okay. I just want him to jump in and get some questions off. Anybody have any questions for these guys? Let me know. Put it down there, and I'll read the questions for them. So back to Mr. Raymond again. Where do you see yourself going with the with Medusa? Like, where would you like to see it go? Like worldwide, like every continent, or kind of like?
Well, first, I'd like to say it would never be where it is now if it wasn't for Jason. Okay, we're the first to admit that it would not be. It would still be here with us.
If you didn't get it out, yeah.
Right. This man has worked tirelessly. A lot
get
of
the curriculum.
Really, I have a lot of respect for Jason. I've told him this many times in private. And I don't mean to embarrass your brother, but it wouldn't be where it is today. It wouldn't be where it is today without him.
That's awesome. You guys have worked together to get that curriculum in there. So do you guys have levels in your system, or is it just kind of like you just train it and if you want to be an instructor, obviously you have to train with you in person. Yeah. But is there any like level 1, level 2, level 3, or is it just kind of you just read it and then that's it? You're kind of just like you're there.
Just go through the training program here. Anybody that wants to be an instructor, they have to take the full course in person, and then they can practice for a little bit, ask questions, but then they have to teach it back to us to make sure that they can teach it correctly.
They can teach you correctly, yes. Do you see your guys, this is a question of both of you guys, do you see you guys traveling to other countries to teach us?
Actually, our instructor in the UK is trying to put something together for 2024 where he and I are both going to share our unique versions of Medusa. That's the benefit to Medusa that we haven't really touched on is, we have guys like Mike Blackgrave and Brian Canada as instructors in Medusa. Between Mike Raymond, myself, Brian, and Mike Blackgrave, we all have 4 completely different backgrounds. Our each of our expressions of Medusa are remarkably different. However, they all contain the same methodology. So you could have two instructors teaching the same thing completely differently based on what their background is.
But they move differently because
Right.
they're back.
Right. The foundation's the same, but how people flesh it out is different. And I think that's awesome.
Yeah, because some people will have, like you said, a wushu background, kung fu, and have that kind of like the movement, and some people have the karate, like more straight, and some people have FMA with a 45. So everybody's bringing their own thing into the system, and they're kind of adding and evolving to it. That's awesome when you have a system that can evolve and you're not just stuck in the repetitive 20, 30 year, like this drill is like, I mean, I'm not going to talk shit because I've been in systems. It's like, we've always done the same drill this way. And then you add something and it's kind of like, no, it's supposed to be this way. This is the angle we do. Now you're changing it. Right. And I think as instructors, you should be allowed to evolve as long as it stays within the parameters of the original vision and intent. You should be allowed to involve your movements and get people in there. And obviously, this is an 18. Is it 18 and over to join the system?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. This isn't a kid system, guys. So no. Kids walking in there. I didn't train my kids. Well, I guess I was a responsible parent. I trained them when they're 16. The knife systems I was in. Only some stuff though, not everything. We didn't go fully into it. But I know there's some people out there that they train their kids like much younger, like 9 or 10. And I won't do it just for the ethical obligation myself. I won't, train somebody else's kid, 16, 17 years old, a sword or anything like that, any kind of edged weapon. And I've gotten a lot of people before that brought their kids here and they're like, well, you want to teach my son how to use a knife? I'm like, I'll teach him how to cut a piece of wood or cut a piece of paper, but I'm not going to teach him anything else.
Yeah, sure.
So, yeah. It's just, you got that ethical obligation, like I said, to not teach blade to somebody who's not mature enough to understand the consequences of, like you draw a gun and drawing a blade out of there. So you said that you're hoping that you guys can grow and everything. And so, like I said, I know a lot of women sometimes they'll jump in the show, and I'm glad that you guys said that you're hoping that more women will join, and maybe more women becoming even an instructor in your guys' system. Because it sounds like it's real good for women's self-defense. I know Guru Dean stressed this a lot, and when I was training with them and stuff, he believes, like women's self-defense is, with a blade, with some kind of weapon as an equalizer. And I have to agree with them, obviously, like it sounds like your system, it incorporates that same mindset that you're going to use that, wherever you have in your hand as an equalizer to your opponent. Like you said, you're working on your empty hand system in there. So that's going to be good with that. Do you see anything else besides going beyond the empty hand system? Do you see anything else like maybe like hatchet or something like that, or tomahawk or something like that? Like maybe training.
Medusa has a straight razor component, a box cutter, a tap knife.
Oh wow!
Component. It has all that. It's a little bit different. A couple of guys have seen it. We don't really teach it. Everybody just wants the blade work, but the people that want it, we do have straight razor material. We do have the box cutter. Seth has his own type of thing called snake shot. That's a little bit different. That's where you're using the skeletal structure. The knife will go in and use the skeletal structure to manipulate the opponent. That's pretty brutal.
I find that fascinating that your son is like, with the background he has, and he's coming up with all this stuff, like you said, to helping you integrate in the system. And it's like he's helping evolve it, and I think that's awesome that you guys are putting your heads together. All three of you guys are putting your heads together and evolving the system in there. There's just so many systems out there. It's good to stand ahead of the pack or away from everybody. Just like you did Piper, just like Piper was. Piper was kind of like looked down upon. Some people like it, and some people liked it, and it's like people are seeing the value in that too, and they're seeing the value in what you guys are doing. And it's like we don't get the same standard FMA-based systems. Not to say that the FMA-based systems aren't good, because you got some people got that, you get that groundwork there. But you guys are thinking out of the box, and you guys are going on the streets. You guys are interviewing people in the shit. Like I said, people that have been in violent encounters, and you guys are making the system better and more effective, which I think is awesome. It's like you don't see that nowadays. All we have is like, things that worked 50 years ago, but we're not getting things that, work in this current time, and people that are actually doing stuff. Even though they're bad, it's still.
The vast majority of people, they won't stay in a system for, 10, 15, 20 years anymore. They won't do that.
Yeah.
They want something now.
That's good. Yeah, yeah. Something that's effective without wasting all their time. Yeah, right. I get that. Yeah, like I said, once again, I'm shooting myself in the foot. I've been in systems where years I've been in, and it's like you graduate from. It's like, well, what did I really learn? I look back and I'm like, okay, no, I know how to handle a knife, reverse, ice pick grip, whatever. But like, what how's that apply to like what a realistic street use? And there's only a couple of systems. I mean, I'm not an expert, and I don't claim to be on here, and I don't want people to shotgun blast me on here. But there's only a handful of systems, like I think, like after researching them, like yours included, that have real value, like for realistic situations. Some are just like, they look cool on paper, I mean, and videos, but like, we get that realistic, the way the world's going now, like you need that realistic system. Like I said, it's almost like you guys are preparing people for battle, like kind of like what Fairbairn did, like get people go to war. Yeah. You're giving them that good, quick education on, okay, this is the blade, this is how you use it, this is effective, straight to the point, not like, doing the, tiptoeing around.
What we teach you tonight, you can use tonight.
Yeah, exactly. It's something you could walk off with, and you're like, even if you had to pay for it, you got your money's worth. Right. You're walking out there being like, okay, I have some basic knowledge now to defend myself or get out of a situation without like, what did I just do? You have a seminar. Because I know when you give seminars, it seems that you're there for an hour, but then you're shown so much. And then most of the people who do seminars don't even practice any when they go home. I did a seminar a while back for women, and like none of them knew anything when they came back. They're just like, what did we do again? It was just, and it wasn't even, I don't think it was that complicated, but it's just like they didn't really pick it up too much. But yeah, when you get something that's even more simpler than, that, then it really resonates and sticks in them. We got a couple more people joining in. Joel Hunkar says, that's what Medusa is. Quick gutter fighting that works right now. It's beautiful. Mm-hmm. Ludwig Van Ditten says, Joe Hunkar, we get our kids young into flavor kickboxing. He won't teach his kid knife. Good for you, because kid's 13. There's another person that's interested in it. I'm not showing their name. Brett Reese says, our ancestors chilled and fast because they only lived to the old age, 30 or 40. You're lucky, practice who bud with a boy at 5. It's all personal in the long run. Any other questions? Let me say, I think I got everybody in there already. So with that being said, with the simplicity of it, do you think that maybe you guys will make like videos in the future? Do you guys have a YouTube channel or no?
No, not yet.
No YouTube channel.
No.
Will it be like you said, digital download videos, or is this all going to be in the book?
I've looked at. Go ahead, Jason.
I posted some clips up on my Instagram page. If people want to go there and look at my reels, there's plenty of Medusa stuff in there.
I do have on Udemy, so we might go that route.
What was it? And I'm sorry, I can hear you.
On the Udemy platform, the learning streaming platform.
Oh, okay. So there'll be like modules you can take, like to learn this, or
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's good. So yeah, I guess like we're talking about we'll work back to the combatives thing again, and a lot of people are saying the same thing. The simplicity of that is this what people are really picking up with that World War II fighting like that. And have you guys ever heard that Tommy Joe Moore, the guy from
He's a good friend of mine.
Yeah. Does it? That was that Bartitsu?
Yeah,
Bartitsu or something like that. Oh, yep. So have you trained with him, or you guys have done like stuff together? Or?
No, we've just spoken. Tommy actually, when he went to the Ukraine to train special forces soldiers, he actually shared Medusa with them. So Medusa has seen use on the battlefield.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. I like that. So is he an instructor as well, or he's just a student?
We just gave him carte blanche. I explained the system to him, and he was going to do a good thing, so we sent him on his way.
Yep.
So, and see how awesome it is? Like that guy actually took that, and he went to Ukraine and taught these guys, and they're using it in actual battle, not
Yeah.
fantasy in the dojo, not in your backyard, in your garage. These guys are using it in battle. Not to say because Filipino martial arts was used in battle a long time ago, in World War II and stuff like that. So it is a proven martial art too. We're not discrediting that. But modern systems, and you got this, it's that good. This guy's actually going and training, people over there. So you guys do kind of the same combative stuff he does then, right? Like you guys follow the same kind of like training and stuff he does then.
Yeah, more or less. Yeah. Yeah, very similar.
Yeah, with the bayonet and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Wow. That's awesome. I didn't even know that until you guys told me. So that's definitely something that's making me like want to learn this too.
like the bayonet training goes hand in hand. If you need a cane at a certain point in your life, you'll already know how to defend yourself.
Right.
Yeah. Oh wow. So I know this. Like I told you before, I was doing a little cyber stalking. I started seeing about it like in different things like that, but it hasn't been really advertised a whole lot, right? You guys haven't really been advertising since it's been out a whole lot, right? Because I haven't really seen it advertised. Just some people posting it. And like I said, I got nosy and I saw the book and it said Medusa, and I was like, "What is this Medusa?" I thought it was just everything, like empty hand. Like I thought it was FMA stuff, but now that I know, it's not really FMA stuff. It's even makes me more curious to actually to get in there and learn it. But how would you say, like the way your system is now, like, would you say like in 10 years, it's going to be completely different because the evolution?
No,
or I'm not going to kind of still stay the same.
The foundation will be the same because once you start adding to it, you're overcomplicating it. And I would hate for a young guy to come in, learn something's overly complicated. I've discussed this with Jason so many times. Mm-hmm. Imagine this kid, he learns this, and he tries to apply it, and he can't, and he gets killed, right?
Because he's worried about doing some moves. Yeah.
It's like yesterday when we were discussing the drills. We don't teach drills per se because if somebody gets involved in a situation, I don't want them to think back to, okay, he's doing this, I have to react this way. I want them to, we'll randomly call out shots, say, zone 1, zone 2, zone 2, zone 1. So they'll create those neural pathways themselves. So when they see a situation in the future, they'll know what they have to do.
Right.
So it's just like all pretty much not really muscle memory, but it's like you don't have to think about it. It's just already like. Yeah, you just go ahead. You just go ahead and take care of it. How much attribute development do you guys emphasize in the system? Is there any attribute development at all? Is it just kind of just not even a factor at all?
It really, I never say like when I teach shock, I never show a certain technique because what I like to do, Jason might not like to do, but I can always say to him, I want you to injure the eye. I want you to take the eye. Right in your mind, you've already done it. You've already seen how you're going to do it. Right? So I don't teach techniques like that per se, because not everybody can pull off a finger jab.
Yeah, exactly.
Somebody might be able to claw the face, and that's all you're looking for. You're looking for an injury. You don't have to be bigger, faster, stronger to do this. Anybody can do this.
So the system kind of gets tailored to everybody. It doesn't matter what your size or height is, or female, male. Small, big, it's just kind of it just tailors to everybody. Then there's no really, because like we're saying, you guys are giants, so it's not just because you guys are big, you guys didn't go in developing because I'm tall, like you say, I'm tall, so I'm gonna develop me. I have a longer reach, like a longer reach, so I'm just gonna develop me the skill set or the different moves because I'm a longer, but you guys develop for everybody. So somebody who has a shorter arm can go in and do the same damage as a person with a larger arm can do it, which, that's kind of what I wanted to get into too, is like you guys just tailored for everybody, which I thought was good on your part because it just needs to be like, Brian Canada says it needs to be simple and immediately usable. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
That's why I sent you that picture of my son yesterday to show you.
Yeah, it was like, is this photoshopped?
Yeah.
I was like, this is.
I'll take a little bit of a different approach than Mike does because I teach gutter fighting as well as Medusa. I will run my students through certain strikes, and I'll give them, choices. Like say, okay, this is what we do for eye strikes. This is what we do for throat and neck strikes. These are your choices. Have them run through the drills a couple of times, see what works best naturally for them, and that's their go-to.
Right.
Rather than telling them, okay, you're going to do a finger dart. If finger dart doesn't work for them, why am I going to teach them finger dart?
Yeah. You got to tailor sometimes you got to tailor, to people that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's like when teach like stick and stuff like that, and like in my system, if there's a girl and she can't reach me when she's striking, I'm gonna have her, getting closer to her. Even when I do knife work, blade work, obviously I'm bigger and I could touch her farther out. I'm gonna have to change her tactics so she can get inside to do a slash or stab or pass, whatever. Joe Hunkar says, for someone looking to be a lifelong martial artist, how do you guys keep people interested in the long haul?
Well, here
don't
we do
overtrain it.
Yeah, train it.
Well, don't overtrain it. Medusa is not something you need to train daily, or I train it frequently, but in order to stay, on par, I would say at weekly minimum. But
sorry, go ahead.
But the way we have Medusa set up is there's enough opportunity for the people to add their own flavor. If they're doing something one way, like if Joel decides that he's going to, his expression of Medusa is going to be route A, and then he gets bored with Medusa, he can always revamp his approach.
Right.
So this system, I think some people are kind of like, I don't know if they're getting confused, but this is not like I said, like if you're doing karate or you're doing kung fu or something like to get grandmaster status. This is just kind of like a short term, like in other words, you don't have to be a lifelong member. Like just keep your skill set up, but it's not something you're going to be studying the rest of your life. Like, if it was doing kung fu or something, okay, now I'm getting this level. Now I'm at this level. It's like to get a belt level. This is kind of not a short term solution. I don't want to say that, but it's just it's something that's simple and effective use. It's not something we're going to be studying the rest of your life. Like, I need to go back and study, look in the book and, and study level 1 again. You know what I mean? It's like, you got it. Just work on your development of the skill set.
It's just like riding a bike, right?
Yeah.
Once you know how.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll work with in either hand. Nothing changes, right?
And you said that people come in and add stuff into the system, but Medusa can work the opposite. In other words, it could work like if I'm an FMA guy only, and I've never did. I mean, obviously, not talking about me, but if I was just an FMA guy only and I never did anything else, I can take that Medusa and add it into my FMA and integrate it into it.
Absolutely.
And it would be okay, right?
Sure.
Yeah. So it works both ways. You can integrate it, and you can also go into it and evolve the system, which I think is awesome. We got another questions are coming in. Sorry, try to keep it up. It was something you can save your life immediately. Kurt Money Brownman says, "What would Medusa be best described as an approach to a combat methodology?"
Yes.
Yeah.
As Brian Canada puts it, Medusa is a tactical framework. It is more of a methodology than it is a system.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's mostly just that tactical thing in there. Martial arts are for self-perfection. Medusa is for self-defense. That's what Brian Canada said on there. So he said Brian's actually an instructor. So has he been an instructor for a long time, or he just kind of like got it recently, or he's been in the system for a while? I'm gonna ask him. He's not here with us, so I could ask him.
Yeah, Brian's been with us a couple of months now.
Oh
wow. And because he has an extensive knife background, so he probably it was easy for him to just kind of slip in and do it. I know his thing is like the Bowie knife. He uses a lot. Yep. Is that something Medusa would work with as well as a Bowie knife?
Sure. If he can carry it, he can use it.
You can use it in there.
You can use a table fork, and it will work.
Oh, it's great. And I found it interesting. You said you're using that razor blade in the box cutter mythology, which I never heard that before. Using anything like a system. I know everybody says you grab weapons of opportunity, fork, whatever. I get that, but when you start specializing in certain kind of like the everyday things like that, it's kind of fascinating to me that you can, there's different things you can do with that. So that's you said that's something you're working on that you probably won't release, or maybe you will release.
No,
in the future.
I've really I've showed it to Joel Hunkar, our system with that. A couple other people have seen it. It's just got 5 simple slashes, and doesn't matter the tool; the slashes are all the same. The only thing is when we use the slash, the razor actually touches the person first. You stab it in, and then there's a twisting, what we call Mr. Twista, and then you pull it across to get an extremely deep cut. So doing this out here, you might miss, you might get a glancing blow, but by doing it the way we show it, you're going to get a deep cut every time.
And all these ideas, like you said, that we're talking about here, what you just described right now, does that go back to the interviewing the prisoners in the prison system, or is that more the Fairborn style?
No, most of that's from inmate interviews and stuff like that. They have a very unique perspective on things. Not that I'm elevating them or doing that. That's not what I'm doing.
Yeah.
They're a great source of information for sure. They live
and
in
I think that's good. Like I know I talked about that before myself, like interviewing people that have been in real situations, like actual fights, combat. I'm a veteran myself, but I've never, I've been in combat, but I've never killed anybody in combat. Obviously. But I've been shot at, mortared at, but everything. But I never killed anybody in combat. But I know people that have killed people in combat. My cousin was in the 82nd Airborne. Oh. And then he was a Ranger, and he's in Fallujah in 2003. And he told me, he's obviously he has real bad PTSD. But when I did get him to talk, he's obviously taking lives over there with his K-bar and his knife and stuff. And I just kind of picked his brain on what he did. And I'm not saying I incorporated it in any system I got, but I just took that knowledge of the actual experience. And I got friends here. I live in New Mexico. It's right across. The Juarez is about 20 minutes away, the border of Mexico. And there's, cartels. There's I got a lot of friends. I have one guy I train with is a border patrol, and he's a special tactics unit. And he's telling me that, some of the migrants coming in the cartels, they use box cutters. Just like you were telling me right now. Box cutters, or those little paring knives they use to cut the grapes with. They're like kind of curved.
Yep.
And he's telling me, he's like, I don't see that, like the typical straight blade. He's like, I see box cutters out there. He's like, I see these paring knives because they carry them in the back. And he's telling me the stuff that these guys are doing. And we train some of the stuff, here, that some of the stuff he's seen out in the field. And I'm kind of like sitting there like, man, like a lot of stuff I was trained a long time ago doesn't work. Like it doesn't work. Because he's showing me. And he's like, I'm not saying every situation is going to be like that. But he's like, but I've been doing this. I'm out in the field for 10 years, right there on the wall. He works right there on the border wall. And he's like, these guys, this is what they do. They conceal. He's like, they come out, ambush attack. Because I don't have time to react. Because a lot of times I have to either stun them or shoot them or baton them, with the ass, whatever. And I think that valuable experience, people that work the doors, people at security, I think people should take that and use that and add it into their system. Too many people live in fantasy, and none enough people are living in reality. That it's all good with a dojo, but
like they say, too many people trying to train to be like Batman. You're not Batman.
Yeah,
you'll never be Batman.
Yeah, exactly.
You need to train for the life that you actually live, not the life you wish you led. Right. There are guys out there that are running. They're running their Gucci AKs at these courses, but they won't put in 8 hours on a mat.
No, exactly. With your system, with that being said, do you guys incorporate a lot of pressure testing with your system?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mandatory, right? Mandatory.
Yeah. Mandatory.
Yeah.
Yep.
I stole a drill from Kelly McCann where I will bind two participants together. Sometimes, you use like a tire, and they each put a foot in the tire. That way it keeps them close, get a lot of infighting, and just have them shock, latch, and stab. And the tire makes them keep that distance. It makes them stay in close. They can't run away.
Inside the tire, right?
Yeah. They have no choice but to pressure test it, Yeah.
But when I trained with Tuan Ruby, she's a woman here, Gadoso Ruby, that was a drill that she used to do, is get the tire, and you got to stay in it. Like and we did it with sticks, and then I started doing it with a knife, and you couldn't move out of the tire. And she said that was a drill that that PG Edgar Salete had taught her when she trained under him was that tire drill. And it was hard, like, to keep your balance, like, when you're getting attacked, because I fell out of my ass a couple times out of tire. And then we had to sit on the edge of the tire. Like, you had to put your feet on the edge of the tire and kind of move. It was a weird drill. I mean, it did help me out, develop my balance a little bit. But I see, the value of what you're saying in that. Yeah. Exactly. A couple more questions. Man, the questions are coming in. You guys are getting a lot of things.
Nice.
Let me go up here. I got to go back. Sorry, I got carried away. I got all these. Let me see what people are putting in here. Okay, so combat spork. Kurt the Mighty Brown, spork.
That's what you want.
I know we have a question. I think me and Mr. Schulz talked about earlier, but people were asking if we could do any demoing. I told them we didn't know yet, depending on if we were able to or not. So maybe we will, maybe we won't. I met broken leash, real thing. A paring, a knife, and box painters 5-in-1 carpet cutter is also a lethal weapon. John Wick is true. Gurdine puts. Let me put them here. Force range work. Awesome boxing drill. Box cutters and craft knives are nasty. Yeah, the X-Acto knives. Yeah. I know a guy who got slashed one time with an X-Acto knife across the side of his nose and opened his nose up. Very nasty.
Yeah. Knives. Oh
yeah. And I actually went to the store today, and Gerber's putting out it looks like a box cutter type knife, like a utility knife.
Oh.
Yeah, and I was wondering, like, why is Gerber putting out a knife? But I see now people are carrying those now.
Yeah, it's popular,
Box cutter, they're real small, like real tiny, but it's enough to to do some major damage on that thing. So with that being said, like you said, where do you you see Medusa going like in the future here? Like, what do you guys want to? What's going to happen like in the couple of years from now? Like, what do you guys see like this going to? Like, is it going to be like a household name? Do you think, or you think you guys are still going to kind of be?
So. I just want to get it in people's hands so they can protect themselves.
Yeah. Yeah,
that's my biggest.
It sounds like it. Yeah, it sounds like you guys. That's what you guys' intent is going to be. I like the way you guys emphasize the boxing background, like you said, your son Seth has with the background in the boxing, and it's kind of awesome that he took that boxing background and added it into your thing and kind of made it grow in there and everything. So
it's awesome. It's tough when he's coming at you full force. Trying to.
Oh, I can imagine. Can you tell everybody how tall he is? Because I think we didn't.
7 foot. He's 7 foot.
He's 7 foot, guys.
That's why I sent you that picture yesterday, so I could show you how big.
Yeah. He's 7 foot, guys. This guy's 7 feet. He's a giant. How old is he?
He's 20.
He's 20.
20 years old.
Yeah, he's 20 years old and he's 7 feet, guys. So imagine 7 foot of rage coming at you with a blade. Yeah. How well do you think you're going to fare against that, guys? How well do you think you're going to be able to pull some of your dozo stuff off of it?
He's just, we would do drills, and he would just, he'd barrel in so fast, and I couldn't get him off me. And that's a lot of the.
And that's why I know we do it with, I know Gurdine's here now, and we, with his system, we do a lot of the, like the 2-on-1 with a knife defense and with the bigger guys. And, I don't want to give too much away. It's his thing, but, we do a lot of that pressure testing with that. And I think a lot of people now don't do a lot of the pressure testing with knife defense stuff. So with you guys, is there any kind of like knife defense, like 2-on-1 or Russian tie or anything? Or is it just all strictly just, like you said, just the offensive blade stuff?
Medusa's offensive blade. I do teach counter blade in my gutter fighting, but I don't mix the two generally.
Okay. Do you guys see any? Any kind of knife defense?
I don't teach any knife defense, no.
Okay. So, because I know a lot of people that it's becoming like not a dime breed, but like a lot of people they teach, like some people teach knife defense. It's not really, in my opinion, realistic. But, I mean, there's a lot of people out there that teach them good, realistic knife defense. It's tough, though. Like Gurdine says, tough work. You're going to get cut. You're going to get stabbed.
Absolutely.
At least you try to preserve your life, at least, with that. Do you guys? Do we have any time? Do you guys want to do any demos, or do we have time for those, or no? Or do you guys don't want to do any? Or
No, I mean, if anybody wants to follow me on Instagram, I'm always happy to do live demos for them privately.
Okay,
I could do that. I don't really have the room right now.
Okay, that's fine. I know we talked about that earlier.
Yeah.
I know we talked about where we're going with this as far as like where you guys like to see it go. How about individual goals? I'll start with Mr. Raymond. Like, what's your individual yourself?
I'd just like to see it grow more. Like I said, I'd like to get more women involved, younger people, and have it grow from there. Like I said, the growth has been fantastic. We never imagined that, especially me and Seth. We've never imagined that it would grow like this, and I'm glad we took the time to put it together. I'm glad we showed it to Jason, and the growth is like I've said this before, and I'll say it again. The growth is really because of him, and I'm forever grateful.
Mr. Schulz, some future goals for you?
I'm happy to take it day by day. A few years ago, I would walk away from combatives completely. I was done. I was fed up with the politics. I was fed up just the random nonsense from people. And I got talked into going to a weekend workshop for Kelly McCann. Name again, his Hindsight 2020 tour when it got rescheduled in 2021. And he pulled me outside during the first break on the first day. And he had seen on Facebook that I was, giving myself a bit of trouble about having, folks take me seriously. I didn't have a certification to instruct. I didn't have any of that. And he told me to, stop fucking around. Sorry for the language. And just just hang my shingle. Get out there. He's like, you're a banger. You know what you're doing. Just get out there and do it. And,
get out there and
And without him telling me that, I would have never have taken what Mike presented to me and run with it the way I did. Mm-hmm. So, I'm just happy that I'm still doing this. If that weekend with Kelly never happened, if he never took me aside, and we wouldn't be sitting here right now.
Yeah, Gurdine said politics and martial arts. What? So you guys have managed to keep your politics non-existent in your system. It seems like you guys have kind of won't tolerate it, right? So I mean,
we've had some issues.
Yeah,
we've had a couple issues. We keep it quiet now, but we've had some other people start, some issues. But we don't comment, we don't post, we just keep it quiet.
Yeah, I used to, but I don't do it. I'm focused on Medusa now. That's where my focus is.
The politics, not listening to what other people say and do anything like that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. If you want to get a hold of me, my number's right on my bio. Call me.
Yeah, be a man about it. Exactly.
Well, I would like to have a discussion. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. I guess I'm trying to read some of the comments. Brian Connors, I'm working on integrating with an active shooter response.
Awesome. Yeah. So Brian was telling me about that the other day. I'm really excited for that program.
So is firearms introduction something that we guys might evolve into with the system?
No, he's working on a response to an active shooter.
Okay. There's nothing to do with the system. Okay.
Right.
Okay. But that question still stands though. Do you guys see anything integrated with firearms? Nothing with firearms in there?
I've never really.
I'm sure we could get to that point if we wanted to. It would really come down to having people train in areas where CCW is legal. I don't want people to feel compelled to spend money on a course where they can't get their money's worth. If they're in Jersey, why would they take a Medusa for CCW if they can't carry a pistol?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's definitely something.
I'm sure like somebody like Mike Blackgrave, who's down in San Antonio, that's something right up his alley.
Right.
So I'm sure he's working on that
with the firearms in there. And again, like I said, just what you guys are saying with trying to keep it low key and but you guys still want to get out there and stuff like that. And I think a lot of people, like I said, this whole point in this interview was to trying to get you guys on here. So, like I said, I was interested in and get exposure for you guys, and people can see the value in what you guys are trying to offer. Like I said, I'm not here trying to talk smack about other systems, whatever. But like I said, I see the value in something, and I see like something interests me. And like I said, that's why I want you to have you guys on and tell your story about this, because I think a lot of people now that are watching this are going to say, like, maybe they're going to hit you up and be like, man, like something that's actually simple that works. No. Is this real? Like, so, like I said, I've studied a couple of knife systems. I'm not a knife expert, by any means. I've studied hundreds of systems, whatever. Like I said, but I mean, I have a Piper background. So it's kind of, I don't want to say it's similar to what you guys got, but there's still parallels there, like between the Piper and what you guys, simplicity and stuff like that, and some of the stuff.
Yeah, it's an aggressive system. There's going to be crossover.
Yeah, and I see that. At the end of the day,
we're all putting the point into somebody.
Yeah, exactly. And I know, Mr. Raymond, you kind of like a little Piper background too, so it's kind of like you know the whole thing about that already. So that's awesome. So people that are watching, if you want to get a hold of these gentlemen to learn more on Medusa, hit them up on their direct messages on Facebook. Hit them up on their Instagram. I guess we'll go ahead in the comment section maybe later on after this interview is done, if you guys want to put your Instagram and address in the comments so people could see it.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I don't know how to put them on here or bring it up or anything, but if we want to do that, we can always get that going on there for you guys. So your son never came back, huh? He was gone?
No, he's right here now.
There he is right there. He left. I felt kind of bad. I didn't really get his. I really wanted to talk about it, but he seemed like he was kind of shy anyway.
Well,
but,
he's shy. He's
that's fine. That's fine.
More of more action than
more action guy. Well, tell him thank you anyway. I appreciate him at least coming on here and supporting you and everything on there. So I'm glad that we got to do this, and I'm glad that we we got to give you guys some airtime to talk about this. And then is there any website in the future you guys have for this? Like, are you building a website or anything, or is this kind of just?
I haven't yet. I know a lot of people have been asking me to do that. I should probably do that pretty soon.
Yeah, the website in there. Is there any kind of like apparel or like T-shirts or anything you guys sell, or any kind of like no. I know you got the digital download you can sell, anything like that, but is there anything like that you guys got going on or nothing?
Nothing like that.
No.
You have to be an instructor to earn a patch. I don't sell those, so.
Okay.
One of the things in the community right now is there's a lot of focus on collecting things, and whoever's got the most toys wins. And
no,
yeah, I know, shocking. And I'm trying to make an effort to keep that at a minimum in regards to Medusa. I'd rather just be about the system than anything else.
Right.
So you're I don't want to say like, obviously with the digital download, you can't really screen people. So once the digital download, they're going to download it. But in-person training with you guys or online, you have to see that person's serious.
Yep.
And they're going to stick with the system. They're not just adding another notch in their belt. Like I got another system. Whatever. Laughing on collectors. That's Guru Dean. Yeah, because my wife was busting my balls a while back. Saying, "You're being a certificate collector." It's like, oh my God, a couple of certificates. I don't have a whole wall of certificates. I'm a kind of guy, like I said, when I see something of value, like I train with everybody. I think that's the way it always should be. But like I see that, if something's of value and I see that it's not just a fad because somebody else is doing it, what I mean? Like there's systems out there, a lot of people are doing it. Like I just joined the system and I got to join it now too because they're doing it. Right. I'm kind of oddball. Like I pick out like oddball stuff and like kind of stuff that doesn't really not like popular. And that's what I like because I don't give a shit about like the certificates or the notoriety or the videos of me like look at I'm doing live, guys. I don't even really post any videos of myself. I don't think I ain't posting videos of myself. I'm more interested in getting training and getting that knowledge because videos aren't going to save my life if I get robbed or beaten to a pulp at a bar or something. You know what I mean? It's going to be knowledge and nobody. I don't know. I mean, I had an altercation and I'm not going to get into it. too much, but out altercation about 2 months ago at the bank, and a simple thing I did. It wasn't the fancy stuff I learned in the training. It was just a simple, elbow and a sweep that I did. There was nothing like, there wasn't passing, and there wasn't like locking arms. It was just a simple, it was over with.
Yep.
Yeah, but it's funny because when it happens, like you were talking about, you're thinking about drills. I didn't even think about any drills. Automatically, like I saw the opening, and it's like, okay, there's an elbow.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, sweep the leg or pull the leg out, and fall to the ground. There was no like, what do I need to do? Am I going to do this? And then it was just happened. And I think that I'm starting to look at knife stuff now in that perspective, like simplicity, where I don't have to worry about, like passing, slashing, stabbing.
Yep.
It's just, jab, you're done. And I'm going to plug two good systems. I've been exposed to only one as an observer. And I know you guys probably, I don't know if you guys are open to training other systems as well. I think everybody should learn other stuff as well. But I mean, that's everybody's individual choice. But there's two people on here, and one is Iron Tree Cali. He trains under Michael Janik.
Yep.
Play concepts. I had an opportunity to watch his class, and it was great class. I mean, some of the stuff he did was real simple. Another one, I'm going to plug my instructor, Guru Dean, Blade Technologies, which I'm taking right now. Another simple, awesome system. No, like you guys, no drill, really a lot of drills. It's just, developing your skills and just getting the job done. And that's why I kind of like, gravitated to those guys for like looking at the knife stuff, you know what I mean? Because like there's a lot of knife stuff out there. And now I'm looking at your system now, and I did Piper because I'm all about simple and realistic. And I think like you guys are like right now, like just the four systems are just like really resonating with me a lot with the realism and stuff like that, and I like it. And I'm really seeing a whole lot of your guys' stuff, but I applaud you guys for taking that experience with the prison system and then getting that experience and putting it in. Like that's awesome. That's awesome. And I'm definitely looking forward to talking to you guys and being a student when I'm getting my stuff settled down with one of you guys. So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I wasn't serious about it, I guess I wouldn't even have you guys on or anything. But I was like, I kind of want to. I was kind of fanboying a little bit. I was like, well, let me get these guys on here, soften them up a little bit, and then maybe I'll get the nerve to ask them, like, hey, maybe I can learn from you guys. And, you know what I mean? So I'm not shy about that. I'm not a know-it-all. I think nobody should be a know-it-all. So we're all students. We're all learning, no matter despite what our rank is, and whatever. And so I'm open to it, and I hope everybody is watching tonight. We'll hit these gentlemen up and just see the value in their system and check it out. I mean, they deserve you guys to check them out. I'm hearing a lot of people talking about you guys, and a lot of people are telling me that that's awesome. You need to check it out. So I'm definitely going to do that. But I want to thank you guys for coming on tonight. I really appreciate your time. Hope I didn't keep you too late.
No, not at all. Thanks for having us.
Oh, you're welcome. In the future, we'd like to get you guys on again, and we'll talk about maybe some more knife stuff in the future. But yeah, I'm definitely going to keep in contact with you guys. And like I said, once I kind of pull down with some of my training and I get my mind open again, because I got a lot of stuff in here, like I'm still studying right now. I'm going to hit you guys up, or maybe I hit you guys up before, fuck it. I'll just take a dive in and just do it,
Anytime.
Whenever
you're ready.
Yep.
Guru Dean says, thanks for the mention. Looking forward to speaking with you, Jason. So I guess Guru Dean is going to hit you up, Jason.
Yeah.
And
Sounds good to me.
Mr. Raymond, people can hit you up as well too, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Well, both gentlemen can be. We don't want to overload Mr. Schulz too much. Like all these people are just like flooding his inbox. Mr. Raymond needs some love too, so let's start flooding his inbox too, guys. Yeah, so he starts getting people in there. Tiger Sons, Seth, thank you. I appreciate him joining us, and I want to thank both of you guys. This was a great episode. If you guys want to reach him, hit him up on their Guru Dean said he just sent you a Facebook message. Jason.
All right. I'll reach out to him.
So guys, thank you. Appreciate it. This has been great. Guru Dean will download the episode and he'll put it on YouTube. So it'll be forever cemented in the halls of social media. You guys will be imprinted for the rest of the time into the archives of FMA discussion, and you guys will be archived into martial arts history.
Hey, listen, I just couldn't believe we were coming on an episode after Datu Kelly Warden. All right.
Oh yeah. That's right. That was a damn good episode. I really respect the hell out of that guy.
Yeah.
As a man, like he has once again the real world experience and so much knowledge. He probably doesn't know. I think I told him before I respect him a whole lot. But if he's watching this episode again, Datu Kelly, really respect you. I know I haven't really looked into his material too much, but that will change maybe in the future when I get all these other systems not out of the way, but I learn them. But yeah, we give everyone a shine unless they're just toxic. Yeah, we don't. In the comments, I don't know if you guys have been active in the FMA discussion board, but yeah, we don't tolerate any shit in there. So like, you act like a jackass or jerk off in there, you get thrown out.
Nice.
I'm not very kind. Some people think I'm an asshole in there, but I don't put up with the stupid ass shit of, calling somebody a moron or, oh, you don't know anything. This guy's an idiot because you're gone. Maybe other people aren't as lenient. I guess don't put up with it. I think we did a good job with filtering out the people in there and keeping it civil. And I think that's what sets our forum a lot different. And I encourage you guys to post as much as you guys want and advertise as much as you guys want in there. Do it so we get you guys exposure.
All right.
Yeah, I'm less tolerant. Yeah, I guess so. I guess it's that military because I was in the military. I guess I turned an asshole. I don't know. But anyway, that's what people tell me. But once again, thank you guys. Appreciate it, man. You guys are awesome.
Thank you.
Like I said, guys, hit them up. And yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
All right. Take care.
Good night, guys.
Have a
Take
good
care.
One. Bye.
Bye. All right, guys, that was a great episode. That was episode 391. So who do we got next? You know what? I pulled a Guru Dean. I didn't look at the things. I don't remember. I'm just giving you shit. I think the next episode will be either Guru Dean or Guru Tom. I don't know who it is. I have an interview with Miss Hilda Akhta from her system, Pentak Salat, on March 30th. Test run will be on March 29th. So look out for that one. She's real popular. She's shown a lot of different stuff with her weapons. She'll be talking about that. She'll be talking about her journey in Salat with her family system with her father. So watch out for that, guys. And then, like I said, I got a couple more people next month. Me and Guru Tom are tag teaming, and Guru Dean is still doing a lot of interviews. He has a lot of good people up next month. So yeah, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope I didn't screw up too bad. And let's keep rocking and rolling. Let's see you guys next time for FMA discussion. Let's switch on something forward to that show. Yeah, it should be a good one. I just got to confirm with her because of the time difference of being in Indonesia. We're going to have to try to fix down a time, and we're going to kind of have her on there. So this should be a good one, guys. She's really, really popular, a lot of knowledge. So yeah, it should be good. All right, guys, I'm going to be signing off. Thank you for joining us once again. And like I said, please like and subscribe to the YouTube channel, FMA Discussion. Keep supporting each other on the post. And just keep being awesome to each other, guys. Let's all support each other, in this game, martial arts game. We're all family. And let's stay that way. Stay safe, everybody. Have a good night. And we'll see you next time, guys. Peace.